Have you ever wondered whether the people around you are truly sincere or just putting on an act? A radiant smile, warm congratulations. Sometimes they don't reflect what's really going on inside. In reality, envy and deceit can be so cleverly hidden that it's hard to recognize them. We often feel confident in our ability to tell who is genuine and who is fake, but the truth is, it's not always so clear-cut. Imagine this moment. You've just achieved a major success at work, surrounded by friends and colleagues, raising their glasses to celebrate you. On the surface, everything seems perfect, but deep down, you sense that something isn't quite right. It's possible that, even within this crowd, a few people are hiding envy behind their smiles. Sometimes, subtle gestures, fleeting glances, or the smallest actions reveal truths that words cannot conceal. In today's video, I want to share with you 10 effective ways to recognize envy and deceit in those around you. These methods aren't just social tricks, they're drawn from Stoic philosophy, tested over thousands of years, and practiced by countless people to manage emotions and cultivate inner peace. By applying these principles, you'll not only learn how to detect the subtle signs of envy or dishonesty, but also how to respond wisely to protect yourself from toxic relationships. You'll be able to build healthy, lasting connections and create a more peaceful, fulfilling life. Before we dive in, I have a small challenge for you. Watch this video all the way through, don't skip any part. Every lesson is important and will help you live authentically, stay in control of your emotions, and fully enjoy life. Leave a comment below with the phrase, "I'm ready to begin the journey," so I know you're prepared to explore the deep insights of Stoic philosophy and learn how to recognize and handle envy and deceit in your daily life. Let's begin this journey toward becoming stronger, wiser, and more peaceful from the inside out. Lesson 1. Observe behavior, the key to recognizing people's true nature. One of the most important principles in Stoic philosophy is not to rely solely on words but to pay close attention to actions. Words can be hidden, manipulated, or even openly deceptive, but a person's actions often reveal their true character and intentions. When observing, look for inconsistencies between what someone says and what they do. A person may speak kindly and express support, yet their actions tell a different story. For example, a colleague might publicly praise your achievements but gossip about or criticize you behind your back. It is these actions, not the words, that reflect a person's real nature and intentions. Have you ever noticed someone saying one thing but acting in a completely opposite way? Some people promise to help but never follow through. These inconsistent actions are clear signs of insincerity and sometimes envy. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that we shouldn't waste time debating what is good in theory, but should instead observe actual behavior, as it provides undeniable evidence of someone's true self. For instance, imagine a family member who constantly says they care about you and are always ready to help when you face difficulties. They frequently send messages checking in, offering kind encouragement, and making you feel reassured and valued. However, when you genuinely face a challenge, whether financial or emotional, they make excuses to avoid helping, ignore your requests, or even show irritation when you bring it up. Over time, you start to notice a pattern. Their words are consistently sweet, but their actions don't match. They only show concern when it's convenient for them or when they want to impress others. In reality, genuine care and compassion are absent. This demonstrates that no matter how flattering their words may be, actual behavior reveals the truth they may be masking: selfishness or even a touch of envy, placing personal interests above family bonds. By carefully observing actions, you gradually learn who is genuinely willing to support and stand by you, and who only offers empty words without meaningful deeds. In family relationships, paying attention to behavior, not just listening to words, is the only reliable way to discern true character and sincerity. Focusing on actions over words not only helps you accurately evaluate friends and colleagues, but also provides an opportunity for self-reflection. Remember, our character is defined by what we do, not just what we say. Lesson 2. Observe how people react to you. Once you've learned to pay attention to behavior, The next step is to assess how people react to you in different situations. Reactions aren't just fleeting emotions, they carry subtle clues about sincerity, envy, or deceit. A genuinely sincere person will act consistently whether you succeed or fail. Someone hiding ill intentions often displays noticeable shifts in attitude. Watch how others react to your success, a key to recognizing sincerity and envy. Success in everyday life isn't just a personal milestone. It also serves as a mirror, reflecting the attitudes of those around you. How people respond when you achieve something important reveals a lot about the emotions they may be hiding. Envious individuals often cannot conceal their discomfort when witnessing someone else's success. They may smile or offer congratulations, but deep down, they feel resentment. Sometimes they even try to undermine or diminish your achievements with baseless comments or fake praise, masking their dissatisfaction and jealousy. These behaviors not only harm relationships but also expose darker aspects of their character. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The person you should strive to surpass is not someone else, but the person you were yesterday." In truth, sincere friends, colleagues, or family members genuinely rejoice when they see you making progress. They understand that your achievements are not a threat, but a step forward in your personal growth. They respect your efforts and feel happy witnessing your development. Conversely, those who view your success as a challenge or threat are often insecure or have not invested enough effort in their own self-improvement. They may respond with hesitation, irritation, or attempts to downplay your accomplishments. Think back to the last time you achieved something significant. How did the people around you react? Who was genuinely happy for you? Who was pretending? And who showed caution or envy? These moments teach you how to distinguish true sincerity from hidden negative emotions. This is an invaluable skill, helping you build lasting relationships and choose people truly worthy of sharing your journey. When the people around you genuinely support you, they celebrate your achievements, share in your joy, and appreciate the effort you've put in. Their reactions come from sincerity, encouragement, and support, without any personal gain. These individuals value your accomplishments and are willing to accompany and cheer you on every step of the way. On the other hand, envious or insincere people will try to diminish your achievements. They may spread false rumors, offer baseless criticism, or even attempt to sabotage your efforts. Sometimes their behavior is subtler, casual remarks, half-hearted praise, or indirect ways of belittling your success. They deny your hard work, attributing your results to luck instead of recognizing your real effort. When you recognize someone's envy in your life, should you confront them directly or keep your distance to protect yourself? According to Stoic philosophy, the answer is to focus on what you can control. Rather than getting caught in the spiral of someone else's jealousy and deception, invest your energy in developing yourself and building sincere relationships, where honesty and support are the core values. Imagine you've just achieved an important milestone at work, such as receiving a promotion or completing a major project. When you share this good news with colleagues or friends, pay attention to how they react. A person who genuinely supports you will show sincere happiness. They'll smile genuinely, congratulate you warmly, and may even ask about the process you went through to succeed, showing interest in the effort you put in. This behavior indicates they are not envious and truly respect you. On the other hand, someone who is insincere or envious might smile, but their eyes or body language reveal something off. They might say, "Great, congratulations," but then mutter comparisons or subtly diminish your achievement with casual or covert remarks. By observing their reactions, you can discern the true nature of those around you, who is genuinely happy for your success, who only appears cheerful outwardly but harbors jealousy or resentment. This is a simple yet highly effective way to gauge sincerity in relationships. In both family and professional life, the way someone reacts to you often reveals much about their true character. Imagine a family scenario. You've just received good news, perhaps completing an important project, earning a scholarship, or achieving a personal milestone, and you share it with family members to celebrate. A supportive uncle smiles immediately, sincerely congratulates you, and asks detailed questions about the effort you put in. He seems genuinely interested in your journey to success. From his attitude and eyes, you sense authentic joy for your achievement. He shows no envy, makes no comparisons, and offers no negative or downgrading remarks. Instead, you feel positive energy and encouragement, inspiring you to share more and feel confident in your future efforts. Contrast this with a cousin you previously thought was friendly. When you tell him about your success, he nods and smiles, but his smile doesn't fully reach his eyes. You notice a hint of hesitation, a flicker of doubt or envy. Later, when the conversation shifts, you overhear him muttering to someone else, "That achievement isn't that impressive. John did better." Though polite in front of you, his true reaction reveals competitiveness, jealousy, and a lack of genuine sincerity. Observing people's reactions isn't limited to major accomplishments. It also appears in everyday small moments. For example, when you face difficulties and need help, someone who truly cares will respond promptly, willingly offer assistance, and ask questions to ensure you're supported properly. In contrast, an insincere or envious person may respond superficially, avoid helping, or only offer token assistance to appear helpful without genuine concern. This dynamic is even clearer in the workplace. Suppose you've just completed an important report or achieved project success. A colleague who genuinely respects you will show sincere admiration. They'll praise your effort, ask detailed questions to learn from you, and even share similar experiences to foster a positive environment. Meanwhile, an envious colleague may smile and pat you on the back, but later make remarks that undermine your work, deliberately compare you to others, or repeat negative stories to diminish your pride. Another everyday example. You purchase something you love, and an old friend reacts. If they are truly happy for you, they'll inquire, compliment your purchase, and show interest in your taste. Conversely, if they are envious or intentionally belittling, they may make sarcastic comments, compare it to something they consider better, or say things like, "It's nothing special," diminishing your joy. Across all these examples, one important lesson emerges. People's reactions to you reflect their true character, compassion, and honesty. Genuine people rejoice in your success without comparison, envy, or attempts to undermine your achievements. Envious or deceitful individuals leave subtle cues, polite words with insincere eyes, formal gestures lacking real concern, or quiet negative comments meant to diminish you. Therefore, observing reactions is an essential skill. By learning to recognize these signs, you not only understand those around you better, but also protect yourself from negative influences. You'll know who genuinely supports you, who is insincere, and can choose to cultivate constructive, positive relationships rather than wasting energy on people filled with jealousy and dishonesty. A person's honesty is not only reflected in how they respond to your successes, but also in how they treat those who are less fortunate or cannot offer them any benefit. Watching how they behave in these situations gives deeper insight into their true nature. And now, we'll move on to the next lesson, some key principles for recognizing people through their behaviors and reactions. Lesson 3. Pay attention to how they treat the less powerful. One of the profound principles of Stoic philosophy is that respect and compassion should be extended to everyone, especially those with less power, lower status, or little ability to directly benefit them. A noble soul never looks down on anyone. Conversely, people who focus solely on personal gain often reveal their true nature through the way they treat the less powerful. When observing someone's behavior, pay attention to how they interact with those who have little authority or lower status. Truly sincere and kind individuals consistently show respect and goodwill, whether it's toward a service worker, a janitor, or even a lower-ranking colleague. They understand that every person has inherent value, regardless of position or potential benefit. A trustworthy and noble person maintains this attitude even when in positions of high authority, such as a leader or manager, toward ordinary people. On the other hand, Envious or insincere individuals only show kindness when they are being watched or expect some benefit in return. When no one is observing, they tend to look down on or treat people they consider worthless harshly. They may display arrogance, coldness, or even cruelty toward the less powerful, while being polite and charming toward those with authority or influence. Envy and deceit become obvious when facing the less powerful. A profound truth highlighted by Stoic philosophy is that a person's true nature is often revealed in interactions with vulnerable or lower status individuals. Those who are envious or deceitful rarely demonstrate consistent kindness. Instead, they prioritize power and personal gain over genuine human connection. Imagine a workplace scenario. A colleague always smiles and is polite to superiors, but shows contempt or arrogance towards service staff or less powerful coworkers. This is a clear sign of envy and insincerity. They respect power and personal benefit, not people. Such behavior exposes insecurity, pettiness, and their true nature, even if they mask it with polite words or a fake smile. Observing how someone treats the less powerful not only reveals their character, but also gives you a chance to reflect on yourself. Ask yourself, am I treating those with less power fairly and kindly? Recognizing and correcting shortcomings in your own behavior helps you become more authentic and noble, aligned with the spirit of Stoic philosophy. A Stoic philosopher would always remind us, how someone treats those with less power is the most honest reflection of their character. By applying this observation in daily life, you will clearly see deceitful and envious behavior and learn to avoid toxic relationships. At the same time, you can cultivate yourself to become more consistent, trustworthy, and compassionate. For example, in a large family gathering during a holiday, you begin noticing each person's behavior toward others, especially those with less voice or authority. One day at a family dinner, you notice the eldest brother is respectful and gentle with parents, asking about their health and smiling sincerely. Yet, when a younger cousin or a household helper serves food, he becomes impatient, curt, and sometimes makes sarcastic remarks, making others uncomfortable or embarrassed. This shows that his respect only extends to those with status, power, or potential benefit, while the less powerful are treated with contempt. Through this behavior, you recognize his true nature. Beneath the polite, friendly exterior lies selfishness, arrogance, and lack of compassion. Conversely, another family member you once thought of as merely social and polite treats both the elderly and the less powerful with care and attention. She speaks kindly, listens patiently, and shows genuine interest. When a younger cousin drops a toy or makes a mistake, she guides patiently without scolding, praising even small efforts. From these two contrasting behaviors, you learn an important lesson. How someone treats the less powerful reflects their true character. Words or smiles in front of the powerful do not reveal their real self. It's the small, quiet actions toward those who cannot offer anything in return that reveal true compassion, humility, or envy and selfishness. Observing this behavior continues in other family gatherings. A respected, powerful uncle may be strict with adult family members but impatient or indifferent with children. When a helper serves drinks, he doesn't look or say thanks. In contrast, a cousin treats everyone respectfully, from the youngest child to the elders, from employees to visiting friends. Her sincere, courteous behavior comes from within, not to impress anyone or curry favor with the powerful. Through repeated observation, you realize that behavior toward the less powerful is the most accurate measure of honesty and true character. Someone can hide selfishness and envy in front of the powerful, but their true nature is revealed with those who cannot benefit them. Sincere people act fairly, respectfully, and appreciate the value of everyone. The deceitful show contempt, arrogance, or indifference. This principle applies beyond family relationships. Observing how someone interacts with service workers, salespeople, or helpers reveals traits that words or behavior in front of powerful people cannot. Even small gestures, greetings, smiles, or how they listen and respond say a lot about a person's character. The key lesson: never judge by appearances or words alone. Let someone's behavior toward the less powerful guide you in understanding their true nature. Careful observation helps you better understand those around you while cultivating yourself to be respectful, humble, and compassionate, treating everyone fairly, regardless of power or status. Start today. Observe, assess, and reflect on how the people around you treat those with less power. You'll be surprised at the stark differences between those who are genuinely sincere and those who only appear so outwardly. Lesson 4. Distinguishing genuine praise from flattery. In life, not all compliments are trustworthy. One of the easiest signs of envy or deceit is when praise goes beyond a reasonable level and becomes obvious flattery. Many people overlook these signals because they want to believe that every compliment comes from genuine goodwill. However, Stoic philosophy reminds us that true value does not lie in what others say about you, but in how you view yourself. Self-respect and self-assessment should not depend on insincere flattery. Genuine praise versus over-the-top flattery. Genuine praise is always constructive and aligned with the effort and achievements you have truly accomplished. On the other hand, when you receive excessively sweet or exaggerated praise, ask yourself, does the person have an ulterior motive? Are they trying to hide envy or manipulate you? Excessive flattery is often a sign of insincerity and usually carries a personal agenda. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, emphasized in Meditations, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When compliments are given with the intention to manipulate or diminish your self-worth, they can make you vulnerable. Therefore, instead of getting carried away by flattery, learn to view it objectively, maintain your own sense of value, and avoid letting insincere words cloud your judgment. Examples in the workplace. A common scenario is a colleague who appears friendly and praises you publicly, but is never willing to help when you face difficulties. Behind your back, they might gossip or criticize you. This is clear evidence that compliments do not always reflect sincerity, and their behavior when no direct benefit is involved reveals their true character. Learning to distinguish genuine praise from flattery helps you protect yourself from manipulation while maintaining calm, confidence, and a strong sense of self-worth. Recognizing and dealing with excessive flattery. When you start noticing exaggerated or insincere compliments, you are taking an important step in safeguarding yourself from envy and deceit. This not only prevents manipulation, but also encourages you to live mindfully, staying aware of others' true intentions. Instead of letting flattery control your emotions, affirm your real value, trust your abilities, and use Stoic wisdom to remain grounded. A key part of this process is building relationships based on sincerity, respect, and mutual support. When you can identify false praise, it becomes easier to see who genuinely cares about you and who is simply trying to exploit or diminish your achievements. Practical scenarios. Imagine receiving flattery from a colleague or acquaintance. At first, it might make you feel happy and excited, swept up in positive emotions. However, if you pause and observe closely, you'll notice whether their behavior aligns with their words or if it's merely an attempt to win favor or hide envy. Ask yourself, do their actions match what they say? Do they demonstrate genuine sincerity or just a superficial formality? Stoic philosophy emphasizes that observing someone's actual behavior in different situations is the best way to evaluate their true character. Don't rely solely on words. See if their actions align with the beliefs, values, and statements they claim. Over time, careful observation will help you recognize envy, dishonesty, or insincerity. Family example. Imagine a family evening where you've prepared a complex meal, carefully selecting ingredients and presenting the dishes. When everyone sits down, your mother looks at you, smiles, and says, "You did an amazing job. This meal is delicious, and I can see how much effort you put into preparing it." In her tone and gaze, you feel genuine pride and joy. The compliment acknowledges not just the result, but the effort, time, and care you invested. This is genuine praise, born of concern and love, with no hidden agenda. Meanwhile, a cousin might say, "Oh, it's okay, not bad." But after you leave, he whispers to someone else, "But the last dish they made was much better." His words in front of you are polite, but his eyes and tone reveal indifference and lack of respect. This is insincere flattery, polite on the surface but hiding envy or an attempt to diminish your achievement. Workplace example. The difference is even clearer at work. Suppose you complete an important project and present it successfully to your superiors. A sincere colleague will congratulate you, ask about your process, show genuine admiration, and be willing to learn from you. They don't need to prove themselves, compare you to others, or devalue your work. They judge fairly and honestly and are willing to support you if needed. This is constructive, genuine praise that helps both parties grow. In contrast, an envious colleague may congratulate you publicly with flowery words. "Your project was good, but I'm sure everyone remembers Sarah's project was much better." Such praise isn't sincere. It creates comparison, diminishes your achievement, and subtly elevates someone else. They may smile at you but speak negatively behind your back. This is flattery used to hide envy and manipulate your emotions. Friendship example. Another example in everyday life. You show off a favorite purchase and an old friend says, "That's a nice item, you must be happy." If it's genuine praise, they'll take interest in your joy, ask details about the item, and share admiration without comparison. If it's false flattery, they might compliment you in front of you but immediately say, "It's nothing special, I've seen better." Flattery is used to maintain face or assert superiority, not out of genuine care for your happiness or achievement. Key observations. A clear method is to pay attention to the intention behind the compliment and accompanying behavior. Genuine praise comes with real interest. No comparison, no exploitation or manipulation. The person giving it highlights your effort, may learn from you if appropriate, and doesn't diminish others. False flattery, however, often shows signs like mismatched words and expressions, emphasis on minor details to highlight differences, or subtle comparisons meant to belittle you. Knowing how to distinguish genuine praise from flattery helps you protect yourself from negative influence, maintain confidence, and appreciate relationships that truly care about you. Whether in family, work, friendships, or society, recognizing sincere compliments allows you to build meaningful, positive, and lasting connections. Practicing this skill requires patience and constant attention, but it equips you to evaluate people more accurately, protect yourself from harmful influences, and cultivate genuinely trustworthy relationships. Lesson 5. Observing consistency in behavior, a true measure of character. One of the key indicators of envy and deceit is the ability or inability to maintain consistency in principles, values, and behavior. Sincere people generally uphold their attitudes and actions regardless of circumstances or who is present. In contrast, envious or dishonest individuals often shift their behavior depending on personal gain or the situation they want to exploit. For example, someone may appear friendly and praise you in front of others, but then gossip or complain about your success when no one is watching. Small gestures, expressions, or the tone of their praise can reveal inconsistencies. This is not a one-off occurrence. If you notice contradictory behavior repeatedly, it forms an important pattern to be aware of. When evaluating consistency, patience and careful observation are essential. Ask yourself, do their actions always align with their words, or do they only act properly when it benefits them? A trustworthy person maintains their values and principles, even when no one is watching or when the situation offers no direct advantage. They act fairly and respectfully toward everyone, regardless of personal preference or self-interest. On the other hand, if you notice someone frequently changing their attitude, behaving differently toward people with power versus ordinary individuals, or only being kind when it serves their interests, this is a clear sign of hidden envy and deceit. Consistency in behavior is proof of honesty and reliability. As you observe, ask yourself, do the people around you truly uphold their principles and values in all circumstances, Or are they merely acting to serve personal goals? If the answer is no, be cautious. Inconsistent individuals often harbor negative emotions, envy, or deceit that you need to recognize. We've reached the halfway point today. Thank you for joining us and supporting this journey. Your presence is a great motivation for bringing Stoic philosophy into real life, helping distinguish sincere individuals from the insincere. Share this knowledge and apply. Lesson 6. Observing reactions to criticism. Please like and share this video to spread these valuable lessons to friends, family, and those around you. Doing so not only helps them gain greater self-awareness and understanding of others, but also contributes to creating a more peaceful and happy world. At the same time, leave a comment letting us know that you are ready to observe carefully and step into the journey of living a Stoic life, full of energy and mindfulness. Lesson 6. How to react to criticism. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, emphasized, "If someone points out something I have done wrong, I will gladly change, for my goal is to seek the truth without harming anyone." This idea highlights that a wise and sincere person is always open to constructive feedback, seeing it as an opportunity for self-improvement rather than a threat to their self-esteem. In contrast, envious or insincere individuals often respond negatively to criticism. They tend to become defensive, angry, or retaliate by pointing out others' mistakes, harshly criticizing, or even trying to undermine the credibility of the person giving feedback. This behavior stems from a fear of exposing their flaws or from reluctance to acknowledge their own shortcomings. Observe examples around you. Have you ever noticed a colleague or acquaintance becoming upset, defensive, or retaliatory when receiving feedback? This is a clear sign that they are hiding insecurity and a lack of confidence. Conversely, a sincere leader listens carefully to feedback from employees or colleagues, analyzes it, and responds constructively. They understand that doing so not only helps them improve, but also fosters a positive, effective, and friendly work environment. In contrast, leaders who are insincere, envious, or self-interested often ignore or punish those who dare to criticize them, resulting in a tense, mistrustful, and fear-driven environment. From this lesson, you learn to identify who is genuinely open and sincere and who is concealing envy or insecurity. This is an invaluable skill that helps you build lasting relationships while maintaining inner peace. Self-reflection and recognizing envy through comparison. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were criticized, and how did you react? Did you truly listen, reflect, and consider what the other person said? Or did you immediately justify, deny, or defend your point of view? Your answer reveals much about how you manage your emotions, your self-awareness, and how you evaluate others. Imagine you are a team leader at a company that just completed an important project. After presenting to the clients and executive team, you receive varied feedback from your colleagues. One team member, Min, approaches and says, "The presentation was pretty good, but I think your data analysis is missing some key points. If you want, I can point out a few areas I think could be improved." Here, Min isn't simply criticizing. He offers specific, constructive feedback along with suggestions to help you improve. Your reaction to this comment reveals a lot about your attitude and character. If you remain calm, listen, reflect on his points, and feel grateful for the opportunity to learn, you are practicing the art of receiving criticism wisely, a trait of confident, growth-oriented individuals. Conversely, if you immediately become defensive, irritated, justify yourself, or counterattack with personal reasons, this reaction shows you haven't fully matured in receiving feedback. It may also make the person giving feedback, despite good intentions, feel hesitant to share again. In family settings, it's similar. When a relative comments on your spending habits or parenting, a calm and open response builds trust and stronger relationships, while a negative reaction creates tension and distance. Recognizing sincere praise versus false flattery in this context. After the presentation, imagine your director says, "Today's work was excellent. I'm especially impressed by how clearly and understandably you presented complex data. This is a significant step forward in your presentation skills. You can see that the director isn't just praising the outcome, but also recognizing your effort and real progress, making you feel confident and motivated. This is sincere praise, rooted in observation, fair assessment, and respect. On the other hand, if a colleague says, the presentation was fine, but I'm sure my would have done much better, you sense a subtle comparison meant to diminish your achievement, even if the words sound polite. Similarly, at a family gathering, if you share about a recent vacation and a relative says, "That's nice, but look at how fancy the neighbor's trip was," it diminishes your joy and demonstrates false flattery, praise not genuinely meant but intended to create competition or comparison. A key way to identify sincere praise is to observe the intention behind the words. Sincere people do not compare you to others, hide envy, and often pair praise with supportive actions, helpfulness, or mutual learning. False flatterers, even if polite, often engage in negative behavior behind your back, such as exaggerating your flaws, making comparisons, or attempting to manipulate your emotions. In practice, this skill of distinguishing the two types of praise is more valuable than it may seem. It not only protects you from negative influence, but also helps you identify relationships that truly value and respect you. Combined with the ability to receive criticism, you learn to balance confidence with humility, recognizing which praise to appreciate and which flattery to approach cautiously. Example in a family setting. Your child achieves high marks on 15, the final exam. If a relative says, "You did very well, you worked hard, and we are proud of you," this is sincere praise, acknowledging effort and achievement. But if they say, "It's okay, but the neighbor's child scored higher," this is false flattery accompanied by comparison, which may cause pressure or insecurity. Recognizing the difference helps teach children to value real accomplishments while protecting their mindset from insincere comments. Through these situations, we see that how we respond to criticism and the ability to distinguish sincere praise from false flattery are two critical skills for understanding the true nature of people around us and for personal growth. They apply not only in the workplace, but also in family, friendship, and everyday social relationships. Learning to observe, listen, and analyze actual behavior allows you to build honest, healthy, and positive relationships. Before we move on to Lesson 7, let me ask an important question. Do you often encounter people around you constantly judging or comparing you to others? If the answer is yes, it may be time to reassess your relationship with them. Why? According to Stoic philosophy, these unconscious comparisons are not harmless comments. They often reveal envy or a lack of sincerity. Lesson 7. Paying attention to subtle comparisons in daily life. In life, we often encounter comparisons that happen unconsciously without any deliberate intent. A wise person observes and listens carefully to these comparisons because they often reveal more about the person making them than about you. Such comparisons usually stem from insecurity, self-doubt, and underlying envy. For example, a colleague may repeatedly compare your achievements to others, saying something like, "What you did was good, but John still did better." While these words may seem harmless on the surface, this behavior is often a way to diminish your value, making you feel inadequate or unworthy, while creating the illusion that the person making the comparison is superior. This is a subtle strategy rooted in their own insecurity and envy, rather than an objective observation. On the other hand, sincere and non-envious people will genuinely celebrate your success without needing to compare or diminish your accomplishments to elevate themselves. They recognize your achievements independently, unaffected by competition or jealousy. Recognizing these unconscious comparisons helps you identify who genuinely supports you and who is hiding envy. Understand the emotions and motives of those around you. Maintain self-respect and not let comparisons undermine your sense of value. Pay attention to your surroundings. noticing each word and action when others compare you to someone else. This is one of the most effective ways to detect envy and insincerity in relationships, allowing you to choose trustworthy people and preserve inner peace. Listen and observe, recognizing who is truly sincere with you. Noticing the unconscious comparisons others make can help you determine who genuinely stands by your side and who is merely hiding envy. True friends don't need to compare you to anyone to show respect or admiration. They appreciate you for who you are, not by measuring you against others to elevate themselves or put you down. Conversely, if you notice someone constantly comparing you to others, ask yourself whether this is a person you can truly trust. Pay attention to how these comparisons make you feel. Do they cause insecurity or self-doubt? According to Stoic philosophy, external factors, such as others' words or actions, are beyond our control. Recognizing this distinction allows you to protect your inner peace and avoid letting others influence your emotions or sense of self-worth. If you agree with this perspective, click like to show your support. If you have a different opinion, leave a comment so we can discuss this topic further. Lesson 8. Observing how people react to failure. Stoic philosophy teaches us that failure is not only a measure of patience or personal growth, but also a mirror reflecting a person's true character. Strong and sincere individuals face failure with humility and a willingness to learn. They understand that mistakes are an inevitable part of life, and they use these experiences as opportunities to grow and improve. They do not blame others or hide their failures. Instead, they take responsibility, reflect, and make efforts to improve. These are the people you can trust and admire. On the other hand, envious or insincere people often react very differently. When they fail, they tend to blame others, make excuses, or rationalize their actions. They may try to cover up mistakes, speak negatively about others, or fabricate stories to protect their ego. If you've ever encountered people who always look for someone else to blame when things go wrong, recognize that this may be a sign of envy and dishonesty. Observing how others handle failure can help you. Identify who is truly trustworthy and who is hiding negative emotions. Gain deeper insight into people's motivations and character. Maintain inner peace by not letting the negative behavior of others affect you. Lesson 8 continued. Watching how others face failure. Pay close attention to how people around you deal with failure. When faced with challenges or mistakes, an honest person will admit their errors and be willing to learn from the experience to improve. They are not afraid to confront the truth and do not let their ego dictate their actions. Conversely, a deceitful person tends to avoid responsibility, blame circumstances or others, and conceal mistakes to protect their image. As Stoic philosophy emphasizes, a person's true character often reveals itself during the most difficult times. How someone reacts to adversity or failure is a clear reflection of their integrity, honesty, and inner motivation. So, don't rush to judge someone based solely on words or outward actions. Observe how they handle challenges and mistakes, and you will see their true nature. Imagine a Sunday afternoon when your entire family gathers at your grandparents' house to prepare a meal. While everyone is busy with preparations, you notice your younger brother attempting a new dessert he's never tried before. From the start, the dessert doesn't turn out as planned. The batter doesn't rise properly, and the cream is runny. Instead of giving up, your brother takes a deep breath, carefully examines each step, and decides to fix it by adding more flour and re-whipping the cream. He doesn't blame the recipe or the ingredients, and he doesn't say, "I can't do it." Instead, he focuses on adjusting and improving. During the process, he even asks your mother for advice to make it better, learns from his mistakes, and happily experiments again. This behavior demonstrates humility, responsibility, and a willingness to face failure with a learning mindset. Watching his focused gestures from the patient, look in his eyes to the smile when the cream finally smooths, you recognize his inner maturity through how he embraces failure. Meanwhile, your cousin reacts completely differently when he fails while preparing the main dish for dinner. Initially, he begins chopping vegetables for soup, but when the broth turns out too salty, he immediately becomes frustrated. He yells, complains about the quality of the vegetables, blames the store for selling poor produce, and even declares that no one will like the soup. Rather than finding a solution or learning from the mistake, your cousin looks for external reasons to justify his failure, refuses to take responsibility, and creates a tense atmosphere in the kitchen. This attitude clearly shows defensiveness and impatience when facing failure. Through this observation, you can see the difference between someone willing to learn and someone only concerned with protecting their ego. Later that day, your mother tries baking a new batch of bread, but the crust burns slightly. Instead of being disappointed or blaming herself, she smiles and says, "A little burned is fine. Next time we'll adjust." She explains why the bread burned and how to fix it next time, while also praising your efforts in helping prepare the ingredients. From your mother's response, you can see the importance of calmness, understanding, and a positive attitude when facing mistakes. Her humility in admitting faults and willingness to share knowledge create a supportive, educational environment for the whole family, making others feel respected and encouraged. Another example occurs when your younger sister participates in a small sports game in the yard after the meal. She tries to jump over a horizontal bar, but fails on the first attempt, falling to the ground. Instead of crying or giving up, she stands up, brushes off the dirt, and tries again with renewed determination. You observe her adjusting her approach and learning from her previous mistake. This attitude demonstrates patience, determination, and the mindset that failure is an opportunity to improve. In contrast, a family friend playing the same game gives up after the first failure and complains about the unfairness of the game. This reaction shows impatience and an inability to adapt after setbacks, highlighting a different response to failure. By observing the entire day, you realize that how each person faces failure reveals much about their character and approach to life. People who are willing to learn from mistakes, patiently try again, and avoid blaming external circumstances tend to be mature, trustworthy, and growth-oriented. In contrast, those who consistently look for external reasons, become easily discouraged, and blame others when they fail often lack self-awareness, are overly defensive, and have limited potential for long-term growth. These family examples clearly illustrate that from failed desserts, salty soup, and burned bread to children's games, how family members confront failure reveals their true nature. By observing closely, you learn to distinguish between individuals with a mature, improvement-oriented attitude and those who react based on personal emotions, protecting their ego and avoiding responsibility. This understanding not only helps you recognize true character, but also allows you to foster a healthy, supportive, and positive family environment where failure becomes a learning opportunity rather than a source of stress or conflict. If you have witnessed or experienced situations like this in your own life, click like and share your story in the comments. Your real-life experiences are valuable and can help others learn as well. Lesson 9. Observing how people share personal information. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul of each person is colored by what they think and share." This emphasizes that the way someone talks about themselves, their successes or failures, directly reflects their character and inner sincerity. An honest and humble person will share their experiences truthfully, focusing on the lessons learned from both successes and failures. They do not feel the need to boast or exaggerate because their goal is to inspire and convey real value. In contrast, someone who is dishonest often exaggerates achievements or even fabricates stories to impress or manipulate others. They tend to emphasize trivial details, attempting to present themselves as amazing to reinforce their image. When listening to their stories, ask yourself, are they being overly self-congratulatory or exaggerating? Are they sharing to educate and inspire, or simply to prove their superiority? Observing how people share personal stories not only helps you discern sincerity from deceit, but also allows you to identify who is truly trustworthy for open communication, sharing, and building long-term relationships. Imagine you are having dinner with your family. Your older brother starts talking about a project he handled at work. When you observe how he shares the information, you notice he reveals many details, but only when you and your mother are present. He often says things like, "I'm not sure if everyone thinks this project is good, but," or, "What do you think? Is it okay?" These questions aren't just sharing, they are probing others' reactions, seeking validation and judgment from those around him. Meanwhile, your grandmother tells a story from her youth naturally, without measuring anyone's reaction or trying to make you feel a certain way. Observing these behaviors helps you clearly distinguish who is sincerely sharing and who is using stories to manipulate emotions or seek approval. Later at dinner, you casually point out a small mistake in a dessert your younger brother prepared. "You forgot a little salt, try adding some." If he listens, admits the mistake, and corrects it immediately, that's a sign he is willing to learn, humble, and mature. On the other hand, if he reacts angrily, makes excuses, or blames the ingredients, it indicates a lack of self-awareness, defensiveness, and immaturity. The difference between these reactions helps you identify who can be trusted and who is easily influenced by ego or insecurity. During the same dinner, your mother compliments the dessert you made. "This cake is delicious, perfectly balanced. I love how you decorated the cream." This is a sincere compliment, focusing on effort and real results, without comparing you to anyone else, coming purely from a place of recognition. But if your cousin says, "It's good, but the neighbor kid surely made it better," that is a false compliment mixed with comparison. This comment is not meant to honor your effort but to diminish your achievement, reflecting envy or an attempt to manipulate confidence. All three scenarios, how personal information is shared, reactions to criticism, and the difference between sincere praise and false flattery, reveal the true nature of those around you. Your older brother observes your reactions when sharing project details. Your younger brother handles criticism, and your mother compliments your dessert. All provide clear indicators of character. On another occasion, you notice your cousin frequently comparing herself to you and other family members. When you talk about your final exam scores, she comments, "That's good, but John definitely scored higher than you." It reveals envy and a desire to diminish your achievement to elevate herself. Meanwhile, your father simply says, "I'm proud of your effort and results, keep working hard next term." This is a sincere remark, acknowledging effort and guiding improvement without comparison or ill intent. Through long-term observation, you realize that honest and trustworthy individuals share information naturally, accept criticism calmly, and give genuine praise. Envious or deceitful people share to probe, react defensively to criticism, and flatter to serve personal gain. By combining these three factors in family interactions, you not only recognize true character, but also learn how to build lasting relationships, appreciate honesty, and avoid those prone to envy or manipulation. Extended example. You just finished a small craft project at home, and your younger brother comments, "Nice, but the neighbor kid probably did it better." This immediately signals envy. In contrast, your mother smiles and says, "You did beautifully. I love how you chose the colors." This is sincere praise, focusing on your effort and result without comparison or diminishing your achievement. Through these observations, you learn that every action, reaction, and word reveals the true nature of your family members. This not only helps you understand them better, but also protects your mental well-being and fosters sincere, long-lasting family relationships. By practicing this skill, you can identify honest people who are worth valuing and learning from, while recognizing and limiting exposure to those prone to deceit or envy, creating a healthy, peaceful, and positive family environment. Lesson 10. Understanding behavior and listening to your intuition. One of the most effective ways to recognize whether someone is sincere is to observe how they talk about their own failures. Truly honest people have no hesitation in admitting their mistakes and sharing the valuable lessons they've learned from those experiences. They see failure as an opportunity to grow and improve themselves, rather than trying to hide or justify it. On the other hand, Deceitful or envious people tend to avoid mentioning their failures, and if they do, they quickly blame circumstances or others instead of taking responsibility. This is a clear sign of dishonesty and inner instability. Additionally, envious individuals often spread information about others with ill intent. They may reveal entrusted secrets, exaggerate, or distort the truth to harm someone else. When you notice someone trying to manipulate others' perceptions or sow chaos, recognize that this behavior reflects their own insecurity and internal weakness. In everyday conversations, pay attention to signs such as they constantly compare you to others, either to elevate themselves or to diminish others. Their comments carry undertones of envy or manipulation, rather than being harmless jokes or casual remarks. As you become more sensitive to these signs, protecting your inner peace and maintaining your sense of calm will become much easier. Listening to your intuition. Beyond observing behavior, Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of listening to your inner voice. Have you ever met a colleague who always appears friendly and eager to help, yet somehow makes you feel uneasy or uncomfortable around them? If so, pause and listen to your intuition. Feelings of unease, doubt, or alertness are often instincts warning you about potential dishonesty or underlying envy. Rather than ignoring these signals, use them as a guide to assess and protect yourself, helping you build relationships with sincere and trustworthy people. Trust your instincts and build your protective shield. In daily life, your sixth sense or intuition acts as an invisible alarm that helps you avoid potential risks. Sometimes you can't pinpoint the exact reason, yet a sense of something isn't right lingers in your mind. This is not random, it's your natural defense system reminding you to slow down, observe, and carefully evaluate the situation. For example, imagine a colleague who seems friendly, caring, and even complimentary toward you, yet deep down, you feel a vague discomfort in their presence. On closer observation, you notice they often compare themselves to you, make subtle comments about others' failures, or exude a quiet competitiveness. This may be your intuition signaling that beneath the surface envy or insincerity exists. Practical examples of observing behavior and intuition. Family setting. One weekend evening, your family gathers in the living room after dinner. You notice your younger brother constantly smiling and engaging in conversation, but when you ask about his recent school results, he becomes awkward and quickly changes the topic. In that moment, a subtle discomfort arises, a small instinct you can't ignore. You observe carefully how he makes eye contact, hesitates in answers, and repeats certain gestures. Your intuition proves correct. He is hiding something important, and listening to your inner sense helps you understand his psychological state. Friend group. At a coffee shop study group, a friend is always eager to help, offering suggestions frequently, yet you feel a subtle tension whenever your ideas are accepted over theirs. Your intuition warns you that, despite friendly words, there may be hidden envy or competitiveness. Observing their behavior, how they smile but glance at you, how they give opinions without genuinely engaging with your feedback, confirms your instincts. This allows you to gauge trustworthiness while maintaining a balanced relationship. Workplace example. You're working on a team project and colleague A praises your ideas, but when speaking to the boss, their attitude changes, showing doubt and criticism. Instantly, your intuition signals inconsistency. You notice conflicting gestures, tone, and eye contact. By combining intuition with careful observation, you recognize that this colleague may not be entirely honest, prompting caution when sharing important project information. Social life. In a hobby class, a new participant enthusiastically greets everyone and offers help, but avoids collaboration when you suggest working together, giving vague responses. Your intuition immediately signals inconsistency. Observing over several weeks, you notice their behavior changes in front of others. They praise you sometimes, but complain when you're not present. By combining behavioral observation with intuition, you quickly understand their trustworthiness and can maintain appropriate distance while nurturing relationships with sincere individuals. Key takeaways. Your intuition is never random. It is the result of careful observation and recognition of subtle signs. People whose behavior, words, and actions are consistent are easier to trust. Conversely, those with inconsistent behavior and attitudes that shift depending on the situation trigger your alert instincts. Learning to read behavior and listen to your intuition protects you, helps maintain healthy relationships, and keeps you away from dishonest or envious individuals in daily life. Your instincts are a powerful tool for distinguishing between those who genuinely care for you and those merely pretending. However, relying solely on emotion is insufficient. You must balance intuition with reason. Listen to your inner voice, but also analyze situations logically to make balanced, informed decisions. This is how you preserve inner peace and protect your core values. Envy and deceit can appear anywhere in family, among friends, at work, or in social circles. They may seem like good friends, but underneath, they harbor insecurity and jealousy. Stoic philosophy teaches that through careful observation and applying the principles of calm and wisdom, you can identify, avoid, and distance yourself from these negative energies. Remember, life is too short and precious to waste on people who are insincere or unsupportive. Apply the principles we discussed today to build a network of healthy, genuine, and positive relationships. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to hit like to show your support. Share with friends and family so they can also learn to recognize and protect themselves. Subscribe to the channel to not miss more in-depth content on Stoic philosophy and life skills. Try applying at least one of today's strategies in your life. After some time, come back to the comments and tell me, I did it. Share your experience and the changes you've noticed. I'm always here to listen and guide you, helping Stoic philosophy become a reliable companion that brings peace, strength, and clarity to your life journey.